Any questions? Move up. Can you sit up and closer? We'll get it all together.
I was going to just say, elaborate a little bit more on the concept of surrender.
The concept of surrender, yeah.
I know you brushed on it last time I saw you here.
Yeah. Well, in my experience, if you have a concept of surrender, that's not surrender. So, in my experience, it was given to me, right? Yeah, so I had been run over twice in one night. A lot of stuff had happened to me, but none of them provoked a surrender. And then it was a regular day at the office, really. And I was in a trailer park drinking with some guy I didn't know. And then, we're not going to start the talk later. And then something stopped the streaming in the head, which I didn't think was possible. And then something downloaded, and it was like a CNN headline, "I'm fucked," you know? And then something, to me, that's where I saw the difference in the AA program, where it says, you have to, we admit that we're powerless over alcohol. That doesn't work. It's the admitting to the innermost self that you're powerless over alcohol. That's what worked for me. Because when there was an admittance of powerlessness captured by the head, it didn't go anywhere. It just led to me getting a free drink from somebody when I told them I'm an alcoholic, or some more drugs or whatever. So, but when it went somewhere else, or it was mailed somewhere else, and the mental state's ability to couldn't claim it, so it went somewhere that put an end to something. Yeah. So at that point, sobriety, all of it was given right that second, and then it's been playing out for 29 years. But it was downloaded completely. And then after that, I could entertain surrendered, which is more of like surrendered is now like infused in your attitude and outlook. Yeah, you've realized you're not managerial quality. Like, this GPS should not be listened to. Yes, and so I find most of the time, a circumstance may not be used to provoke a surrender, because that happened on a regular day at the office. I mean, I had many opportunities to surrender, getting run over and all this stuff, but nothing ever happened. The mental state was just as vigorous as it's always been. It never got run over, yeah? It never got arrested. Yeah? So something else happened, and I can't explain it, but I've seen it by its results. And to me, in this life, that was the greatest solution I've ever experienced. Because it says in AA that you can hit a point where the problem will not exist for you, which is an incredible condition if you've had a very strong addiction, because it's really influenced everything you did in your whole life since I was about 11. Yeah? For that to be completely changed, where the problem doesn't exist for me, and that day that downloaded, I've never had a strong thought about drinking or using, ever. And it hasn't been because I've been vigilant, they just don't come up. And that to me is a great solution, because if you're not having thoughts about drinking, you don't really need skillful means. There's nothing that you have to fight. That to me is a damn good solution. Yeah, a damn good solution is if the problem doesn't exist for you. A lot of what's being called solutions here don't seem to be solutions to me. They're always demanding more vigilance, more effort, more this and more that, just to maintain a certain level, and then anything can throw you off. Yeah, I mean, you can be very at peace in a 12-day retreat, but it's a 13th day. When you get out of retreat, see how you go. Yeah, so surrender there's so many levels, because in Ramana's point, on the absolute point, he says, who is there to surrender and to whom? Yeah? So he says, who is there to surrender and to whom? So there's no one to surrender. So really, it's really a very clear understanding of surrender is that there is no one to surrender. So basically, you're surrendered, but not as a result of a surrender, but prior to any idea. Yeah? You're surrendered. Basically, inherently, you're free. Yeah? It's only when time gets involved and the mental state gets involved, then you start living as you want to be free. But the wanting to be free and the searching for that freedom is a way of denying the inherent freedom. That's the trippy thing. We can record this. Is on now? Oh, it is. Oh. The trippy thing is, you would think interest would be valuable in quote-unquote spiritual seeking, but it isn't. It's really a loss of interest is the sign of results. Yeah? When you lose interest in the need to be liberated, that's the liberating quality. Yeah? And because if you know what's happening in the mental state, you have to realize the mental state arises after life, after the living, but when it arises, it implies that it was before the living. Yeah? And so now it's you that's living. And now every situation, everything you meet, you're a big influence in it. And you don't realize it's that influence that's the biggest obscuring quality. So when you get interested, let's say, in trying to lose the obsession with self, that's obsession with self. Yeah? So you can't seem to get out of it when you're seemingly in it. Yeah? The more you apply trying to get out, that's more of being in it. Yeah? And it's like in AA, in recovery, we have a big statement. I think it's like the unspoken step of AA, because AA is a 12-step program looked at in a linear way. And one of the major steps is the third step, which is the idea of surrendering or turning your will, your life over to a care of a higher power. So that's like the biggest principle of AA. But instead, in that page, if you read it, it says first, you've got to quit playing God. Then next is the third step principle. Yeah? So, all right, so let's say the mental state, when it hears anything, it arises and says it's the hearer of it. Yeah? So, okay. So now that which is playing God hears, it has to quit playing God. Yeah? So now that which is playing God is in the pursuit of trying to quit playing God, which is playing God. Yeah, so it goes on ad infinitum. Once it's in, it can't get out. Yeah, because the thing is, the solution is you're not in what you think you're in, and then there'll be a loss of interest in getting out, and that's the experience of being out. It's not you can try all the best you can. See, like, I like to present this now. We've been using this. You've just wandered into like a spiritual shoe store, yes? And maybe you think you're going to have to buy like hiking boots because you're going to go to the Himalayas and, really good soles, and there's going to be a lot of work and climbing, and that guy always lives in a cave somewhere 7,000 feet up and stuff like that. So you come in, and then there's someone comes up and says, okay, you're looking for shoes, and you describe exactly the shoe you want, but he or she comes out with different shoes. Yeah, and he puts them there. And he says, hey, try these. And so if you put your foot in it and the shoe fits, wear it. So if you come to this point and you hear this message, yeah, it could be the end of following any other message. The part of its greatest solution is that it could be possibly for you the last answer, which negates any need for any more answers, which is a great answer. Yeah. And so if the shoe fits, wear it. This is what happened with me. I came to talk, so not like this. The people were much nicer than I. They spoke in a much nicer way. They had loving gazes, and it was nice, very lovely. But I heard their description of something, and it fit, yeah. And one of the greatest ones was, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha, yeah. You can't use big M mind, which is, let's say, awareness, yeah, but more illuminated, more active than awareness, yeah, let's say. You can't use big M mind to seek mind, and you can't use the light to seek the light. Now, let's say this master, whoever wrote this, he's not a sadistic person, yeah? If it was Paul seeking the Buddha, he would probably try to give you as much help to find the Buddha, so that Paul would be relieved of somewhat being Paul and have more of the Buddha on him, yeah? But the fact is, that master saw all of us as the Buddha. And so it was a warning. He says, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. So he's not seeing you as Paul or Jim or Mary. He's seeing you as the Buddha. See, if you were Jim and Paul and Mary, and Jim and Paul and Mary are having a hard time, well, maybe it would be a damn good idea to seek the Buddha to get some relief for Mary, Jim, and so. But really, the relief is from, not for. So these dudes or women they're not sadistic. They're trying to give us a warning. Hey, if you're the Buddha, it's not going to work if you're seeking the Buddha. The seeking the Buddha will be the denial of the Buddha. Even though you're constantly affirming how great the Buddha is, you're denying the Buddha of your own. Yeah, and it doesn't stop. See? It's not like, if you make the Buddha and then one day it's going to clear up. It's not going to clear up. The shadow is going to keep following. It's never going to be a sunny day. So he goes, all right, you can't seek the Buddha with the Buddha. You can't seek light with light. So obviously, the assumption from their view of us is you're light. Yeah? You're the Buddha. Not like, you're gonna be the Buddha, actually the worst thing, you were once the Buddha, but you screwed up, and now Paul has taken over, so you blew the Buddhahood. It's just like he's stating a fact, yeah? The fact is, if you're the Buddha, it behooves you to realize that, so you won't be looking for the Buddha, because you're never gonna be successful, because you're the Buddha, looking for the Buddha. Now you can look for everything else or anything else other than the Buddha, and you'll be successful, like I was successful. Actually, greatly successful. Someone bought me some coffee. Yeah, I succeeded. Yeah, I looked for something I could find, and woo, that's great. But most of us are trying to look for that which cannot be found, because we are, as St. Francis says, we are what's looking, and that's what the you is looking for. So you are exactly what you are looking for. So St. Francis supposedly said, what's looking is what you're looking for. And he didn't say what's looking and then 50 pages of requirements that you have to go through to become a you that you're looking for. It's what's looking. It wasn't who's looking. It's what's looking. It's not the story, the horizontal story of Paul, but the vertical reality of Paul. Yeah? So what's looking is what you're looking for. End of book. Yeah? Sentence. And I'll tell you, you go to talks like this, all right, you say that. What's looking is what you're looking for, period, in St. Francis's view or whatever. But now you say it, and then but occurs. But, and that's where the world begins. I feel great at these meetings, but how am I going to feel next Tuesday? What are you doing right then and there but pledging allegiance to time? Why would you be concerned, will I be enjoying something Tuesday, if you're enjoying now? I would think, why would you want that to be overridden by what's not happening? And I mean constantly, as a habit. So you come to these talks, the shoe obviously fits, wear it. Yes. Let it take hold. And because I don't believe you need anything, really. You need a simple reminder or an invitation That's why I like going mostly to new people, because really, this isn't like a 4-year study course. Yeah, it's a simple invitation. You know, you are what you're looking for. Why isn't that obvious? Because there's an identification as something that you're not. It's as simple as that. So you read Ramana Maharshi, a great master, he would say the problem or the greatest mystery. They're always talking about this is a supreme statement, which is there's a presupposing by the mental state of a non-existent thing, yeah, that wants to get salvation for the non-existent thing. Do you need like 800 pages of commentary on that statement? Just let it run over you. All right, there's a presupposing, so it's not just an assuming that there's a non-existent thing, but there's a pre-assuming. So when the mental state is assuming that you're a non-existent thing, let's say this, it's not only doing that, but it presupposes you before everything else. So now consciousness, which is the base of all our lives, right, is narrated as I'm the one who's conscious, as if you're doing it. Yeah? Do you have any volition of what you're going to see if your eyes are open looking up in the sky? Whatever shows up, you're going to notice it, because it's not about you. You come after, and then you have tons of opinions. I didn't want to see that, but you saw it. Yeah? There was a seeing of it. You didn't see it. That's the problem. It says you saw it, and then it gets... This is what happens with thoughts. The mental state pre-assumes or assumes that you're the thinker of the thoughts. And then suddenly there's an assumption, well, if I'm the thinker of the thoughts, they should listen to me. Yeah? I should have some say. It's sort of like if I'm the boss of the company, I should be able to fire some people. Yeah? You know what I mean? They should be listening to me if I'm the boss. Yeah? So there's this assumption, but the thoughts don't seem to listen to us at all. You can beg them, please, I got a big appointment tomorrow. Could you stop at 11 p.m. and start at 8? You can have the whole weekend. Just give me this one day. You know, I just need 9 hours of sleep. Then you're up at 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning. That's the frustration. The frustration is, like we say in AA, the dilemma is powerlessness. It doesn't mean powerlessness is a dilemma, but dilemma is powerlessness because you think you have power. That's why it's a dilemma, because you keep exerting power when you don't have any. And no matter how much evidence shows you that condition, you stubbornly, the mental state stubbornly resists it and holds on to the little oyster in its little freaking shell that, no, I can manage. I can manage. Yes? So if you see it, this is all... See, I see no point in talking about what everything is, because what's going to hear it isn't you. It's just that freaking simple. That's why I realized after years of talking, and happened with Kyle at a meeting at that theater, where people came up to Kyle after the meeting and said, man, everything this guy says is going over my head. And so Kyle asked me, what about that? And I said, yeah, that's where I'm aiming. I'm aiming over your head. I realize there's no point talking to you about big M mind, but there's a lot of point talking to mind about you. Yeah? Because when mind gets the idea, I may not be that, that's basically that. Yeah? A whole new possibility is entertained immediately. As soon as you see you're not that, you can entertain being free from it. As long as you're looking from that, you're going to entertain being free as it. That's part of the bondage. The bondage is of self. The bondage is of self when there's a self that thinks it's free. The bondage of self is in place when there's a self that thinks it's not free. The bondage of self is always going on. The bondage of self is there when you believe you have an ego, and the bondage of self is actively going on when you believe you've lost an ego. It's the feeling of being the one. Yeah? It's that unique sense of proprietoriness. Yeah? It's the ownership of thoughts, which allows thoughts to own us. If you saw thoughts, if the thoughts in one's head were seen clearly as Stanley's, yeah, you would be disinterested in them in 2 minutes. But the same thoughts held as yours you've been listening to for 40 years. What's the allurement? What on that island, what are the sirens? It's not the thoughts. It's the sense that it's you thinking them. They're about you. It's always that sense of being that someone. That's the juice. That's the addiction of the mental state. The addiction of the mental state is it wants to be a self. It wants to be separate. It wants to be apart from. It wants to be unique, and it wants to be special. Yeah? But it cannot complete the mission. So it's always in like an anxious or agitated state. It's like a slinky going down an eternal staircase. It has a desire to become something it cannot be, and then it presupposes you're something it doesn't want to be. So it's I don't want to be a loser, and it goes on and on and on, and it never completes the mission. It's like a desire that's unfulfilled. What happens when you have a desire that's unfulfilled? You eat a lot of ice cream, you do something, you shop, or you read another non-duality book, or have some wine. Well, look at us. We're constantly in a state of appeasing this rapacious fucking creditor. So all the other addictions to me are really a misdirected way of trying to get relief from that addiction. That's all it is. Because we keep including the problem in the pursuit of the solution. We want to be there to get it. We were talking at an AA meeting the other day, and the topic was humility. So we just shared, I just said, when someone's in humility, they don't know it, yes? When someone's in service, they don't know it. They're being of service. The emphasis is not on I'm the servant. It's not. It's been dismissed. And now it's fluid, yes? That's holding the space. Yeah? Because you are the space. So if you see the first movement of selfing, which is, I'm going to go into it here. This is just my little freaking philosophy, because all you can talk about is what you're not. There's no point to say anything else. So this is how I see it. I see everything as an activity. Yeah. I see the speed of mind unbelievably freaking fast. So, all right. So there's the mental processes, which are the thoughts, the perceptions, and memories. Yes. They are being used for the mental state to be in the act of being identified as a self. Yeah? So it's a verb. It's not a verb like the act of being identified as and then the noun self. It's a whole verb. The sense of being a solid, long-lasting thing is a verb. It's not in actuality. So the act of being identified as a self is what the mental process is in all day. So to reinforce that, it uses this movement of claiming everything it comes in contact with through consciousness. Yeah. So the thoughts are claimed to imply that you're the thinker. The feelings are being used to imply the feeler. The actions are being implied to point to the doer. Yes. So that's where the bonding point is. So it uses actions to imply the actor. The actions have no intention to point that way. The mental state, it's like a herd of donkeys. The mental state puts a tail on it all. It's so simple to see. If you had this book, all right, a book. Yeah, everyone would get that. I'm going to change its intention, my book. So now the book is being used to point to the one who has the book. Yeah? Thoughts, my thoughts. So here's the stream. Now the stream, it's like in Zen they say painting legs on a snake, right? So here's the thoughts, thought. But now they're called my thought, and each one of them is being used to point to the thinker, which is not there. It's a presupposing, an assumption, an insinuation, an implied reality that isn't so. So there's just thoughts, there's just feelings, there's just actions. They're not my thoughts, my feelings, my actions. That's the difference of experiencing life as happening and then having an interpretation of life that it's happening to me. That's the whole event. Does it change that life's happening? No. It's a weird little add-on that it now uses, which is just flooding by the point. Yeah? To be used to, because there's nothing there, so the seemingly something appears through all the freaking pointing. So that is the addiction of the mental state. Yeah. So it's like if you you went to the Colorado River, and so then you put a glass of, and you got the Colorado River, and you went home and put it on your mantle, and people would come and say, "Oh, that's the Colorado River I have." But when you have the Colorado River, you've lost the biggest essence of the river, which is the rivering. Yeah. So we want to have ourselves instead of be ourselves. We want to know ourselves. We get to such a point, we call it an authentic self. There's no freaking authentic self. There's no unauthentic self. There's neither of them. You see, the belief isn't in the authentic self. What's driving the look for the authentic self is the belief there's an unauthentic self. And you can't get out of it if you think you're in it. The sole solution is prior to the problem. It's inherently so. The solution is not after the problem. When you're in the problem, you're seeking for a solution. But if the solution dawns as you, you'll realize there was no problem. It's just an activity. I am telling you, if someone says that something's happened to them and they've had a big download all at once, I guarantee it, they must have had a feeling like this. When this happens, you get an immediate hit that it's always been that way. Basically negating everything you thought ever happened in a fell non-time swoop like that. Just cut off. And it didn't take any time because there was nothing that cut off. And it's an immediate negation. You get it? It's always been this way. It's not like, wow, I finally arrived. Oh, it's starting to be great. No, the hit is, it's always been this way. So your whole story of arriving, we use there's a great story by Ramana about the necklace, yeah? I like this one a lot. So it's a famous, like, Indian, Hindu Indian story to get to the simplicity of the message. And it's a lady, has a necklace on, yeah? And she feels she's lost the necklace. So now she's talking to all her friends, and she's asking her, can you please help me find the necklace? And some of those people have some business plans, so they go, yes. If you pay me up every month, I'll look for the necklace, and I guarantee you, because I have found the necklace, that you will find the necklace, but after 10 retreats and $30,000 or whatever, yeah? I am a finder of the necklace, and I know exactly how to go, but if someone... Well, whatever. Yeah? So now, okay. And because you're a loser of the necklace, you're very interested in meeting a finder of the necklace. All right? Okay. So now they start looking for the necklace. Yeah. And then someone comes around and says, hey, it's right on your neck. And so the lady goes like this and touches it, and there's the necklace. And you would think, oh, it's beautifully complete. How simple. But her reaction is, I found the necklace. As if it was lost, but it has never been lost. But now, and then it explains her whole life, because after she thought she lost the necklace, she was totally bummed out. And now suddenly she's in joy because she found the necklace, and she's telling everyone, I found the necklace. And the guy who said he was the founder tries to take credit. Oh yes, she's one of my many people that found the necklace. But was the necklace ever lost? Exactly. So what's happening here is we're dreaming the dream. We're dreaming that something that could never be lost can be found. And when we believe we found it, though it wasn't a finding, we have great joy, and we start writing blogs, and we get followers. But in fact, it never was lost. It's sort of like people... In AA, we have a new pair of glasses, famous book by Chuck C. But in this case, so you have, let's say you have an old pair of glasses, but you're taking them to be your eyes, just an assumption that these are the way I see things. So of course you got to go to spiritual optometrists to see if they can correct the lenses you're seeing. So you get some new glasses and they work, but they're a little heavy, you know, like you got this on. And then then you realize, Jesus, these don't work that well. And you get another pair and another pair and another pair to correct the other pair's solution, so to speak. Can you get out there, bro? Yeah? But what would happen if the person just went, instead of assuming they have that they're their eyes, maybe if they felt around, they would feel the original pair of glasses, take them off, and there'd be no need for more corrective lenses. But the fact is, there's such an assumption that even when it's pointed out to us, the necklace was never lost, our story is, we found it. If the shoe fits, wear it. This is what happened with me. I was in a Dokchen meeting. It's a Buddhist, like, non-duality, Tibetan Buddhist. And every Thursday I went to it. And then suddenly, for some reason, it hit me. Well, everything I'd been doing wasn't worth a squat of beans. Except, as the Course in Miracles says, what can a failed system show you? Well, it's failed. So all of a sudden at this Dokchen mess, this failed system showed me it was failed. So I was like, my spiritual pants fell down. I'm looking around. I go, what can I do? And they go, well, we don't know. And I just said, fuck it. I walked out and never went back on Thursday. And I'll tell you, over time, what's happened is, I'm telling you, it's your own activity that's the obscuring factor. There is no illusion. There's a projection of the delusion. And it is truly rooted in the act of being identified as something that you're not. Yeah? Because we want to be there to get it. We want to experience our own absence. And that's not how it works. Yeah? So you really start losing interest in what you were really interested in. Yeah? But you don't lose the interest just leaves dead preoccupations. And what happens to me, I believe what presence is interest and attention undirected. Yeah? So when the mental state isn't directing the attention and interest, that's the presence, because now it's hovering like a weather system. Yeah, you're in a sense of like spaciousness or largeness. Yeah, I mean all day available, with no effort on your part. The efforting on your part is the biggest deterrent. So now it has served you to be interested in non-duality, but there's a point where any more interest in the non-duality will not serve you. Yeah? It's time to freaking start entertaining. You don't need to know anymore. You got the spiritual subpoena. You got the invitation. We come here, we go, we give tons of information to repeat the same message, but the message, sooner or later, you got to go to the dinner that you've been invited. You know what I mean? You got to go. There's no point to keep receiving the invitation. Because I'm telling you, what's saying it's received the invitation is exactly what you're not. And it's going to put distance in between it, and you're going to be very relevant in it, yeah? And it's going to be a delayed arrival. Non-duality is turning into every other fucking process now. And non-duality has nothing to do with anything. It's just it's a statement of fact, yeah? The inherent condition is the opposite or the absence of duality. That's all. And actually it isn't. It's the context of what seems to be dual. Yeah? You cannot arrive there because you're there. And you cannot be exiled from it either. So the seeker is the sword. The open secret. Why do they want to torture you, you know? So they use a very cryptic statement, the open secret. How could it be a secret if it's open? Exactly. Or the gate. What the hell did they mean by the gateless gate? When you're thinking there's a toll booth operator and it's you, the gateless gate means there's no gate. There's no gate to enter, nor is there any gate to get kicked out of. You are what you're looking for. How simpler is it? Yeah. See what you're not, and that's what you are. Is the seeing of what you're not. That's the only thing that can be seen here is what you're not. You're not a thing. You're not. Yeah. Like Huang Po says a beautiful statement. He says, whatever can be perceived cannot be perceiving. So that's pretty simple, eh? I'm seeing you as a body. That's not what's perceiving. Yeah. Have you ever seen someone you knew dead? The body? Doesn't it seem like they weren't the person you called them to be? The body's there, but the animation isn't there. So you were misidentifying them as a body because we're in the state of misidentifying ourselves as a body. Yeah? And now we're trying to become spiritual as a body. What's going to be the benefit? I don't know. I just believe you'll travel lighter through this experience of being an action figure here. Yeah? And for me, it doesn't promise everything's going to be great, but you will travel lighter whatever geography is in store for you as an action figure. And after having that be the basis of my life for a while, I say to myself and others, what more do you want, really? I mean, the greatest relief for the individual is from the individual. That's where it's going to be really, really valued, is in a state where you could travel heavy to travel light. The value isn't in awareness. Awareness doesn't need any value. It's here where awareness can seem to be forgotten. That's where it's valuable. Yeah? So, yeah. I mean, you can polish the head of the nail, but I just fucking hit it. I just whack it. Whack it, whack it, whack it. Don't give it any air or breath. Yeah? So. And you know what's happening with spirituality? I share this a lot at this group. We need interventions. There should be interventions in spiritual groups where someone has done too many retreats. They should be freaking, you cannot go on another retreat. You cannot buy another book. Yeah? I wish they could have a committee where, okay, bring in Fred. Fred's spent $800. I had a woman call me. She totaled up $1 million she had spent. $1 million. Used to watch, never go to sleep, watch 12 hours of videos. That's a little too much. Do you know what I mean? Watch something else, like Colbert. Really, you see, this isn't going to be promoted by a huge amount of interest. It's the interest that's the main deterrent. The interest, when freed from this preoccupation, will be relaxed and open, and it will be available at all times, right where you are, with no requirement necessary. And it will not be sent on fool's gold fucking journeys anymore. You will not be looking for what cannot be found. Yeah? You'll see blue is blue and red is red. You'll see green is green. Yeah? You won't have, I tell you, you're going to lose all interest in a lot of shit that deserves to be lost interest in. Seriously. And especially you. Really. Yes, you. You, completely. So, any questions? What did I say? Everything? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. The whole point, the message isn't what's being said, obviously. You feel it, yes? That's the point. That's like the unspoken yet. It vibrates. And it's not the messenger, I'm telling you. This messenger, it's like, do you clap for the trumpet or for Miles Davis? Yeah. This is the trumpet. Yeah. A little bent and everything, but Miles is playing. Yeah.
Where do we go?
Well, you came to the right place.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, right here. So you're succeeding now. Yes, because we will not promote it. No. Does anyone? People have been seeing me. Have we ever deviated from nothing? So all we give is nothing. You're guaranteed to get nothing. But if I swear, if you get nothing long enough, it will be everything for you. Really, really. You don't need any more add-ons. You don't.
Oh, I know.
You do not. Yes. And your efforts aren't going to make what you are better, nor are your efforts going to make it decrease. It's always available at all times, right where you are, because the idea of you is way prior to. Whatever happens after isn't affecting it one bit. It's like the sky with everything moving through it. Nothing leaves a lasting impression on the sky ever. Yeah, 8,000 zillion clouds have appeared in it. The sky hasn't turned into a cloud, has it? Ever? Have you ever seen a cloud that looked like a dog and it stayed there for 3 weeks? No. It always changes constantly. But the sky is the space for everything to appear in. You are like that. That's what mind is. Mind is the space, the context of all this dreaming. Yeah. And we, as the Course in Miracles says beautifully, you and I are the dreaming of the dream. It's given you an incredible position. You're the dreaming of the dream. And then it says you forget that you're dreaming. How can that which is dreaming forget that it's dreaming? It can't, but it can seem to forget, which means it can appear to it that it's forgotten. Yes? Everything here, like in recovery, we say fear, acronym for false evidence appears real, for fear, right? So, all right, false evidence appears real. How can false evidence appear real? Unless it appears real to what's real. Yeah? How can you make up shit that isn't so all day? How can you make mountains out of molehills? How can you? You're the dreaming. You think your dog is doing that? Come on. You got it already. The first pass. All you need is the first pass. It's all done. Yes. We're the dreaming of the dream, and we seemingly have forgotten that by being identified as the dreamt. This is a beautiful expression. It's a beautiful expression. So when we become identified as the dreamt, what happens? The ball game changes a little bit. Now everything we've been giving meaning to has the ability to affect us. That's what's happening every day to everybody here. Yeah? We give meaning to thoughts through that they're ours, and then the thoughts can ruin your day. But it's all your own juice. It's all your juice. You're the dreaming of the dream.
So is it like a constant awareness that the thoughts that are moving are not yours?
Well, awareness is constant.
Yeah.
Period. So it's not a constant awareness. It's the awareness is constant.
So
There's always awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an experience of seeing things as unpersonal always.
It's not like an experience. It's more like an attitude and outlook. It's much farther back than experience.
Yeah.
It will influence your experiences. So you have fundamentally changed as the action figure. So that which can be changed has been changed. Yeah? But that which is coming through the change is that which never changes. Yes? Yeah. So now there's space between you, in a sense, you as space and thoughts. And so, like in AA, we talk about the pause. So now
Right.
your life starts at the pause, not after the thoughts. Yeah? Your life is starting before the thoughts. So you're seeing the thoughts, not looking from the thoughts.
So the presupposing is non-existent anymore.
Well, it never was existent. It's just an activity that implies that there's something there, but there's
That's right.
never been anything there.
But the activity's not with you.
Oh, the activity's going on, for
Yeah.
sure. That's what the programming does. The Toyota drives like a Toyota.
Okay.
Oh, for sure. It's just that there's a difference between hearing it and listening to it.
Right.
Hearing it is the conscious event,
Yeah.
because you're conscious on very subtle levels, which is you hear thoughts, but you're not listening to the thoughts. There's not an intent. That's the difference. Yeah. So instead of having it blaring on huge speakers to you, right, it's like in the bathroom. Yes,
Yeah.
it's still blah, 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 but it's a little muffled. You don't know what the hell it's saying, and then you realize it's irrelevant over time. It's really a small loop, selfing. It just all it does is change nouns, but it's the same. Yeah. See, let's say selfing gets interrupted. Like if you get a good hit on your head or
Right.
see a beautiful thing, what continues? What continues when the selfing is interrupted? That which is always there.
Right.
Yes.
Consciousness.
Why would you want to take yourself to be that which comes and goes when you're that which is seeing what comes and goes? I mean, especially if it hasn't been that great. Let's move to the larger picture, maybe. Really, it's fine. In ignorance, you assume this is true, but there's going to be a point when it's going to be revealed. Hey, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Something stopped that I was assuming was all about me, but there's still seemingly a quote unquote me. So maybe the me I am is not the me. So yeah. I mean, it's like if you see something you used to look from, obviously if you see something, there's a hit that it's not you. Yeah. I mean, when I see you, I don't think I'm you, in a way. So most of us are looking from the selfing, the product of it, but you can see the selfing, and it's an activity. It's going on all day. It likes to intrude and make a story out of things. It does. It wants to compare now to some other there and and a future there, and always finding some lacking or wanting in the there you're in now. Yeah. But see, here we are. If there's a there that seems to be better than here, when you arrive at that there, it's here.
Yeah.
You never escape the here-ness, ever. You can say, I can't wait to get there, but when you get there, what is it? It's here. What's the point? How many times you got to go down? It's like rats figure out there's no cheese in 3 tries. We're going thousands of times the same way. I mean, rats go, oh, 3rd time, fuck that. I'm not going down that tunnel. The thing is why we go down that tunnel, because we're taken to be the cheese. It's the going down the tunnel is the cheese. Because you get to be the reflection is so large about you in all the activities, yeah? So the activities may make no sense, but to the agenda of the mental state, it's a you sense, because it's like a mobile pond for Narcissus to see its face in. You know the problem from the solution. If you get relief, you'll know why you didn't have relief. You're never going to know why you don't have relief from lack of relief. When you get relief, or when the relief becomes dominant, you'll know why it didn't seem to be dominant. And I'll tell you, your fingerprints are all over it. You don't have to point to anything farther. So the solution, see, like if you have, we talk about gravity a lot. So people at Cafe Cito, whatever, Organico, may have went up a big hill today, so they're bitching about the hill. And I know that hill, that's very strenuous, but it's gravity really, right? They were going up against a force, and they call it the hill, but it was gravity. Yeah? And so maybe someone studies gravity, and they're a professor of gravity, and they read tons of books that are used in a lot of colleges, yeah? But why, if you really want to know what gravity is, go into an anti-gravity chamber. By its absence, by your being relieved of gravity, you will know gravity. And I'm telling you, when you're relieved of the bondage of self, you will know the bondage of self. And it's an activity that we're entertaining.
And that can be wavering. I mean, I keep calling it an experience.
Yeah, of course. It can be wavering, but to who? that's still the narration of the mental state.
Right.
Yeah. It wants to believe it can disturb the force. But has it really disturbed the force? It hasn't left one mark. Just like I was seeing the most heinous day I ever had. And the same scene was when I was at that temple in India. It's the same scene. Nothing's changed there. We love to be able to change it. And we have a huge story. We believe we did something for it to be this way. We really do. Isn't that the root of self-centeredness? I had it when I was young. My father got ill. So my mother talked to me. They brought Dr. Quinto, our family doctor, to explain, hey, your father's not going to be able to go to the tryouts with you. Won't be able to play baseball with you because he's very ill. Yeah? Now, I understood it intellectually, but inside of me, I thought, what did I do to make my father not want to play with me? That's the basis of self-centeredness. So if you feel there's no love in this world, you're in there. There's a feeling you did something. When, especially if you hear that, oh, it's all love and it doesn't seem to be in your life, I'm telling you, you're written into the storyline. You must have done something, yes, to make it this way. That's the arrogance and actually the bear trap of God, that which is playing God. That's where it gets caught. Yeah. If it believes in separation, it believes it made the separation, which is intolerable. To believe that you would leave all that is to be this, it's like those movies. The self-centeredness is amazing in movies. Remember that movie Nicolas Cage and someone's an angel, right? And the angel decides, he checks out Meg Ryan, and he goes, I'm willing to give my infinite blissful state and cut my wings to go out and maybe go horizontal with Meg Ryan, only to get a divorce 2 years later. Now what eternal being would oh yes, like this is the, have you met anyone here that's ever come back? No one's come back here. I haven't seen Uncle Fred who died again. No one seems to come back. It must be that it's on the circuit. It ain't one of the greatest, vacation spots. But we're casting the incredibleness of us. Oh yes, Nicolas Cage gave up his wings to have a date. You don't see it, the absurdity of that? Yeah, so that's it, yeah. I'm so happy to be here. I like Cafecito Organico. I really like Costa Madera. And I hope, and we have books and everything. We forgot the shirts. We have 3 shirts. Collector's items. There's 3 of them here. And then there's books. We have 2 different books. Well, they're all happening now. No, we have 2. We brought Escape from Everywhere. So this is more of a 12-step book, Recovery, Under Arrest. And then we have more shirts too coming tomorrow, but I forgot the bag. Yeah, some more. This is a large. Oh, you like a nice shirt? You're gonna sleep in them.
Fine strip down here.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna pass the basket, so we're gonna pass it 8 times. We've done a study. You start breaking down at 5. So, yes. Keep it going, round and round. We got to go eat something.
Yeah.
Oh, honey, I like that.
Yes.
You know what this is? This is the wheel of life. It tells the whole story about all of us right here in these little circles.
So you hit
Nice
the
color.
lottery tonight and you don't care.
What?
You hit the 210 million. It's not going to suck you in.
Who knows? I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't, but I got a strong feeling I'm not going to win the 210 million.
It's just
because I didn't buy a ticket. It's like the idea of I should have used it, the floor. The floor story about Turkey. It's like that.
How much are the shirts?
They're 20, bro.
Okay.
That's a nice shirt.
Yeah, it is. I want to buy it.
Great.
What's the floor story, man?
What?
What's the story?
This floor story. I know, I better use it tomorrow. You'll have to come back.
You're not here tomorrow.
Yeah, where are you?
We're at another location tomorrow.
5000 Colfax Avenue, the First Presbyterian Church. Yeah.
It's on the website too if you want to come.
You can just
It's
put
going to
it
get better and better.
You mentioned something about events in LA, a 3-day
Oh,
thing.
thank you, honey.
Okay, so here's 20 for.
Oh, wait a minute, we're doing business now. Can I ask you a second?
So
No, no.
20, 40. Okay, so here's 40. I'm gonna take